great catching up with a familiar face here. He's going to be back in action, taking on Nick Aguirre. Borroka 2 is going to be a stat card. And if you can't watch that one live, you can check it out on spectationsports.com. Happy to be joined once again by former UFC fighter Anthony Birchak. Anthony, how you doing, man?
Living life, dude. I just got this overwhelming urge to jump back into this. I've been coaching at a high school for the last, 3 years, at this new high school for 2 years now. And it's been, the kids inspired me to jump back in and do this thing. It's hard to tell them that they got to wake up at 5 a.m. and run, that they got to do a 7 a.m., practice. They got to run at lunch. They got to do practice in the afternoon, and they got to run when they get home. And they're like, well, let's see you do that. And I'm like, no, dude, like I've done my 5 a.m.s. You know what I mean? I've earned the right to be a coach and get fat now. And a couple of the kids ended up, betting me that if they won the sectional tournament as a team, that I would bleach my hair. So obviously those little bastards did it. Yeah. We got the hair bleach, and then like just two of my freshmen that came in, and they lost early in the state tournament and battled all the way back through the consolation rounds and took third. Really inspired me, and I told them, all right, I'm going to fight because you guys did that. So I'm going to show you guys what it looks like to do a camp, train every day, diet, cut weight, and still have to coach and go about your daily life.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Were you actually retired? Because I don't ever remember you saying like I'm done. Of course, the last time we saw you was in the UFC.
No, I could not find fights that made sense.
Yeah.
After that, it was like that was like a real death sentence to me. You know what I mean? Like you feel betrayed, and but you understand what the business is. It's like they made me take a fight on 3 days' notice, then on 3 weeks' notice, and then they cut me loose on my birthday. And it's like, Jesus Christ, like. That was just so unceremonious and like not fulfilling, and super hard for me to wrap my head around. I thought I'd be able to jump back into Ryzen or Deep or somewhere like that. They're offering me guys like Peyton Talbot for like 800 and 800, and they're offering me guys like, I'm just like, dude, I'm not going to fight these up and comers, that I know you want them to win. I know you're going to do everything to champion them up. And I'm not fighting them for less than, $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And knowing your worth, and you've had, 2 stints in the UFC, you've fought the who's who even before you got in the UFC the first time. So totally understandable there. So what made, other than obviously the coaches and stuff, like the kids that you coach, was it also just, again, like you want to see if you still got it? Like you're fighting a tough opponent here in Nick Aguirre, also a former UFC fighter.
Yeah. So, I was getting super fat, dude. Like when I got this call, I was like, when I say super fat, I was like 180, 178, you know what I mean? And like, I got, I'm walking around the coaches' rooms, and they're seeing me in the hospitality room doing wrestling, tournaments. They're like, damn, chubby, and I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I never thought like body shaming would work on me, but it for sure did. And I just like, I was getting depressed. Mercedes saw that I was depressed as shit. I'm drinking, a bottle of wine or a 6-pack of beer every night, just to kind of wind down and decompress from the day. She's like, this is not you. This is not good for you. Like, I'm going to go knock on some doors. And, she ended up getting me this Borroka fight. And, it's been me back to the grind and doing what I do best.
How long have you known about this opportunity? When did you find out?
I got about like 7 weeks of like kind of some news, but I didn't get a contract till like 5 weeks out. And I don't start working until my name's on paper.
Right. Yeah.
So many times. Oh, you have no idea over the last 4 years how many times I've said yes to a fight, and the other guy's like, no. And I'm like, I already invested, $550 in medicals, all this time switching my schedule from me coaching at my gym to me training at my gym. And it affects business. Like, it affects my entire fucking life. It affects the gym. It affects how much money's coming in, which affects how much money comes down to me. It's like, so I got about 6 weeks of training total, like a 6-week camp, which is good for me. Mm-hmm. Anything longer than that, I feel like I get burnt out. Anything shorter than that, I feel like I haven't done enough. But even with 6 weeks, I feel like I haven't done enough. You know what I mean? There's always more to be done, I feel.
So now that you've had a chance to look up Nick and see him as an opponent, how do you feel like your style matches up against his in this fight?
Where does he beat me? You know what I mean? He reminds me of a younger Anthony Birchak. Shit striking, can take you down and take your back and choke you out. You know, so when you watch that Peyton Talbot fight, Peyton, got taken down, got his back taken, defended all of the rear naked choke back onslaught. And then in round 2, he just goes, oh, if I just strike from space and don't let him take me down, this is a wrap. And that's the thing. Like when I look at Nick Aguirre's, topology, it's like, who have you fought? Like you fought Dan Argueta and you fought Peyton Talbot. And those are tough guys and you lost. I'm a tough guy. I'm not a fucking guy that's 4-1 or 2-2 that he's been fighting. And he's able to get these little, he reminds me when he wrestles of Ben Askren, how Ben used to wrestle on his knees. And to me in MMA, that's like a death sentence. Like you're going to get guillotined, you're going to get darced, you're going to get anaconda. It's easy to defend. Like that's a ABC motion, right? Instead of going to your takedown A to B, he's going A, B, C, and it gives time to defend. So when I look at everything, like this is the best matchup I've been offered in years. So of course I said yes to it. He's a D2 wrestler, wrestled at McKendree. I don't know what his belt rank is in jiu-jitsu, but he's definitely not faced a three-time ADCC Open gold medalist or, leg lock specialist, choke specialist. So where does he beat me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting clash of styles there. Now, you mentioned camp. Who did you get to work with? Who were some of your main training partners for this fight?
I stayed at home, dude. Okay. I stayed at home. I've built some of the best MMA fighters and black belts right here in Tucson that you'll never hear of. And my brown and black belts, they don't take it easy on me. They're, crushing my nose and splitting my lips open. They did everything to try to choke me this camp. And I put a bounty on myself. I let everybody know, look, you guys can get me a takedown in any takedown, not just a double leg. If you guys can take me down, I'll buy you a $50 gift card to wherever you want. If you guys can take my back and choke me in a rear naked choke, I'll give you a $50 gift card to wherever you want. If you can do both, you get a $150 gift card. So I put bounties on myself like that, and everybody tries, you know what I mean? And like guys are like, oh, that was a takedown. I go, no, that was a sweep. There's a difference. Yeah. So I've stayed at home, and with the monsters that I've created, with the coaches that I got to the UFC with, the way that I got to the UFC was staying here in Tucson. And the way that I'm going to have success in this fight was staying here in Tucson.
Okay. Well, glad everything's kind of worked out there as far as camp goes. And then your corner, what's that going to look like for this fight? Who's going to be in the cage with you?
So my cornerman is the first black belt that I've ever given out, Willie Audifree. He's been my road dog forever, my best friend. He's like I said, the first guy that I ever promoted to black belt. He's seen every facet of me in every aspect. And I've never given him the opportunity to corner me. So I thought we had a fucking terrible falling out about a year and a half ago. And it was almost like we would never talk again. And like this time around, I was like, you know what? I've never given you the opportunity to be that guy in my corner. So maybe the animosity was from that. Maybe there was other things happening and brewing in his life. But I wanted to give him the opportunity to be there for me and, me be there for him. I got my boxing coach, my Mexican boxing coach, Ruben Bravo. So we've been working nothing but strict, Mexican boxing style with takedown defense. Obviously limited kicks. I don't want to leave my legs out there for Nick to grab a hold of. And then my wife, Mercedes, who knows me better than anybody. Mm-hmm. She knows when I'm up. She knows when I'm down. She knows where my head's at. And she knows every single in and out facet of me as far as what our fight system is, about where I'm best and what I look like when I'm, declining, what I look like when I'm, in flow state. So those are going to be the three. And then if Coach Casey, I called him today, or he called me today and see how I was doing. And I told him, I was like, hey, I might call you on Wednesday that, it's in Vegas. I might call you on Wednesday. You might need to take somebody's spot, just for comfort levels.
Okay. Good group there. And you kind of mentioned it there, but how's this fight playing out on Friday? How do you see it unfolding?
Man, I mean, I either see me knocking him out or submitting him. I don't see it going any other way than that. Okay. There is a finish for sure, though.
And then, not looking past this big opportunity you have here, what's next after this? Is this just a one-off, or do you want to see how this fight goes and reassess? Like, what's the plan after this?
Yesterday, my youngest son asked me if I wanted to go, Pokemon hunting with him. We play Pokemon Go a lot, and it's pretty fun. It's definitely kept my mind off of all the shit of camp. And this week I've been so drained. It's like, son, like I can't be a dad to you this week. I'm so sorry. And like when I uttered those words, I realized this is my last fight ever.
Okay. Good for you. Well, yeah, good to recognize that, and again, good opportunity to do it on such a big event. And just before we get out of here, like how it sounds like everything's going well, like coaching, all this stuff. Like a lot of fighters when they kind of take a step away, they don't have that outlet. But it seems like even when we were doing our interviews back when you were an active fighter, it seemed like coaching was always something that I could see you doing. Did you know that too, or was this something that sort of came to you after you decided to step away from the UFC?
No, this is something I have a very acute thing for breaking down fight film, breaking down wrestling matches, seeing the unseeable and feeling things. I've always wanted to share that with people because it's not a technique you can kind of teach. It's like a sixth sense. And I realized with the kids that I have is like, why can't you move your body like that? Like, why are you not feeling that? And I'm like, that's so hard to teach. I can show them where they need to be in space and what they need to be looking for. And I want to figure out how to tap into whatever I'm feeling and the years of experience that I have with pressure give, pressure release, opening a door here to make them walk through this door. I want to figure out how I can show them how to set those traps.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll look forward to the future of fighters competing under your tutelage and seeing how all that goes. And this is going to be a great card. It's coming up here Friday, March 28th, Borroka 2. Anthony, thanks for doing this, man, especially during fight week. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
Absolutely. Cruise Combat has been there for me for the last 10 years, 15 years, throughout this whole career, making my fight shorts, making my walkout kits. Got a big thank Ryan Necht out there in Dallas, Texas, in Cruise Combat. Everybody there, thank you so much. Mobile IV Nurses, Johnny Weber. Man, that guy's a lifesaver. He's just one of the most genuinely good people I've ever met, and he's been with me, through MMA, jiu-jitsu. He supports a lot of my jiu-jitsu stuff, all of my teammates, my students. He bought my whole wrestling team at the high school, new warm-ups. So Johnny Weber at Mobile IV Nurses, thank you very much. Carl at Mobile Recovery. I want to thank Taylor Law at TrueCraft HVAC, BioPro, Ruben at Sweet Science. Thank you for getting back. I'm actually so hyped that we've been working together for so long, but we never got into an actual fight together because of injuries or pullouts. So now I'm really, really excited to show my boxing capabilities now. And obviously, my corners, thank you, Willie. Thank you, Ruben. Thank you, Mercedes. Thank you, James Lynch, for having me on. I really hope everyone fucking enjoys this last performance.